Alright guys, KZ Guy 2 here, No Nonsense Know-How again. Today doing a heater core on this 2004 Dodge Ram. I'm going to be putting an aftermarket one in here. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend using an OEM one, but this customer didn't want to pay for that. So anyway, the general idea here is I'm gonna try to give you guys a rundown of everything you need to know and show you all the basics. But the idea is we're going to be removing this whole dash and then the airbox, the HVAC box out of the car. But you're going to be starting up here. So if you don't have an AC machine like this, bring it to a shop because you don't want to let the AC out into the environment. But you're going to start by evacuate the AC, disconnect your battery, and then go ahead and remove this air box. Got 8mm right here. A couple just slides right up off these studs here. So get that out the way. You're going to need a 5/8 and a 1/2-inch AC disconnect to get the lines off. I recommend spraying a little lube around these first before you get them off. Two 10mm head bolts held this on. Go ahead and, when you remove these heater core lines, go ahead and mark the top one right up on there so you don't mess that up when you're putting it back on. I don't know, yeah, you can put those on backwards. This computer right here, get this out of the way. 3 8mm head bolts, 2 on the top, 1 on the bottom, and then get that out of your way. That's gonna, I actually took 1 or 2 nuts off that I didn't have to. You only have to take off this one and this one, but you do have to get the computer out. So just to make a note on that. And when you put these lines back on, make sure to check these O-rings that they're in good shape, or better yet, replace them. But either way, make sure to put some AC lubricant oil on here as well, on the other one as well. So when you're putting that together. And guys, just a quick tip: when you take these AC lines off, make sure to put a rubber cap or at least stuff paper towel in there so you don't get debris or anything in there. Rubber cap's ideal to keep moisture out. So now this dash pad actually already had a crack in it prior to taking it off, but I mean, these things are pretty fragile. So come in here and your point's probably up on that. Get this thing out of the way. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clips on there, and then the ones on the back. Get that dash pad out of the way. Something I just noticed here, didn't notice this before, but looks like somebody was already in here and had this dash out, or tried to, because I see 2 bolts just sticking out like that, and they might be cross-threaded or something because I can't even spin them with my fingers. So I did notice that. But then you're going to go ahead across the top here, remove all these bolts. These guys, that's 10mm, these are 8mm. Remove all those bolts, getting those off and out of the way. And so holding that on up there was 4 8mm head bolts and 2 10mm head bolts. All right, now on both sides, you're going to remove these 2 panels here. Quick snap-offs there. Start on the back side here, pry this up, work your way up front, and then get these out of your way. These just got clips right up in here. That one actually stayed in there, so you'll take this out of here and put it back on right there. 2 T20 Torx right here and here. This thing basically just falls out of your way. Got a couple quick clips on the top. Pop this OBD2 connector out of here and remove these 2 7mm right there and there. To get this steering column out of your way and drop down, you're going to remove 4 13mm nuts that go on these studs right here. 2 here from the bottom. Take this wire out of loom here so you can leave that nice and loose, and the other wires on the other side, like your transmission cable switch and such, just take those off. I also had one other miscellaneous wire that was, I had to cut the butt connector. Somebody had something butt connected in there. I had to get it out of the way. So if you got anything like that, alarm systems and such, watch out. And go ahead and get your electrical connections off. 10mm bolt on this, slides this big one off. Got one down here. And I guess I probably should have taken this off before. You also gotta get these wires off as well. So this here should just click back, just like that, snap out of place here. Get this cover off here and disconnect all these wires going into here. So that was 3 T20 Torx holding that on. Get under here, squeeze these on the back side, and get these off. They got a clip on the back, you squeeze. This one here, press this red clip down like so. Come on the other side here. Some connectors can be a little tricky, but get your thumb behind there. Whoop, well, that just slid right out. So I'll make sure that goes back in right. And then, yeah, this is held on a little tab here, so I'll get that off. Come around up top, same thing, get this one off up here. And yeah, slide that back and pull that off just like that. So now I'm going to go back up in here and check for any other wires. Again, if you have an alarm system, you got to check for all those. Check all your wiring on this side. make sure everything's off because the whole dash piece is coming out. Also, underneath this steering column, you're going to have these two 10mm bolts. Looks like those are bolted to the steel on this thing as well. So get those. And again, I might be missing something on this side, but I'll let you know if I am. Oh, your parking brake mechanism. Get that off as well. We're remove these two 7mm head screws out of here. Get this piece out of your way, and that'll gain you access to this 13mm under here. Remove these two 13mm as well. Now this is going to go the same for the other side. Get both of these grab handles out of here. Pop these clips off here. You got 10mm, two 10mm head bolts, and then just grab this, pull this off, and the whole thing will just slide out of there like that. Do the same on the other side. Come down on this side, remove these two 13mm, and I believe there's going to be one. Oh, look at that, something's already missing here too. So probably supposed to be another 13mm bolt holding that on as well. And then go ahead and get all these electrical connections off as well. Some more evidence that this has already been removed. You can see they never lined this hang hook back up right, and it just kind of got bent out of the way. It's actually, I'll straighten that out when I take this off, but that's supposed to be hooked in this hole here. And so we got all these connections off right here, your antenna and all that. Come over to the center here, and this just clicks back, a couple quick connects there. And you got 1, 2 10mm head screws. And also it looks like this ABS wire on the left leads up, so go ahead and pop that connector off like so. Get that off because that looks like it leads up. Bottom one can stay as long as that box stays there. And also this 10mm bolt on this bracket that attaches to the HVAC box. Take that off. Alright, so it's best to get a helper at this point. Lift this thing up, and as you start coming out, you might have forgot a wire or two. Like, I forgot this one up top right here. So get that off. Take a look behind. Make sure you got nothing else holding it on. I had some super ghetto-run stereo wires that I had to take care of. I had to pull the stereo out and such. But now we should be able to just pull this thing back and either take it out of the car completely or set it up on the seats, whichever you prefer. Alright, so I chose to fold up the center console and just set this thing back on a seat, nice and softly, no sharp edges there, so it should be fine. This is what you're looking at now. This is the back side of this thing. Not that that's going to help you a ton, but you know, it's a pretty easy dash to come out actually. You know, that should really only take you about an hour to do if you know what you're doing. Got some debris here from that dash that's been breaking. Wow, that shit just crunches apart. Oh my god, that's crazy. This is what you're looking at. This is your HVAC box here. So now we're going to go ahead and take that out. And good thing to note here, I forget if I mentioned it earlier, but definitely check out your evaporator core when you take this thing out. Inspect it for any leakage, and honestly, you're better off just replacing it while this thing's out. All right, so you got 3 10mm bolts in here, one here, one over here. Well, they're nuts actually, and one bolt down here, 10mm. And otherwise, if you did everything under the hood, you should be able to just grab this thing like so, and pop it out just like that. Nice and easy. And boom, there's your HVAC box. And here it's going to be your heater core, very easy to replace as you can see. Just pop those Phillips out, and then this baby just slides right out like that. And here's your new one. I've heard these O-rings here fail, so I'd recommend dropping a little bit of oil on those before you rotate these out so you don't risk tearing the O-rings in there. But yeah, otherwise slide that new one in there, and that's how that's going to go together. Now, like I said, I do recommend taking a peek in here, checking out your evaporator, and quite honestly, while this thing's out, you might as well, you know, it's probably $50 for a new evaporator, something like that. Replace the evaporator. I would if it was me. So that's what you're looking at though. If you're going to do that, you're going to remove all these Phillips head screws around the whole entire unit. Pretty basic to get that apart. I'm not going to show you that right now. Hopefully I showed you guys most everything you need to know, and I didn't jump around too much. You know, and I'm not going to show you how to put it back together because that's pretty basic. Just make sure you have 2 people when you're putting that dash back on. Make sure I straightened out this hook on the dash here, so I'm going to hook the passenger side on first, and then, you know, put the other side on, so you don't just jam it against there and bend that hook like the previous guy did. Like always, I'll let you know after I put it back together if there's any tips and tricks that I noticed that you guys might need to know. So otherwise, please give it a thumbs up if you liked it, comment, and any support at all helps, guys. Thanks again, Casey Guy 2, No Nonsense, Know How. Well, guys, after getting this thing halfway back together, Customer called back and says he does want an evaporator now, so I had to pull this back apart and back out, but it gives a good opportunity to show you guys why you should replace it, because as you can see, his has definitely had some seepage on the bottom. You got some oil residue down there and corrosion up top here and such. So yeah, when this thing's out, not a bad idea to replace that. To get this box apart, fairly simple. It's a pile of Phillips bolt or screws and a couple clips, and take some wiring off, and otherwise pretty basic. Also a great time to go ahead and check all your blend doors, check for any broken linkages or anything like that on the doors, and that you know, if you had any bad servo motors for the recirc door or any blend doors or anything like that, definitely a great time to replace them. So a little tip there for you.